Alright, so we had these Haldex style slack adjusters on a truck, and sometimes they don't really hold up very well with this little adjusting ring here. They'll rust out and then they kind of break. One of the other employees here suggested we try the Bendix style. Says he likes those better, and this is the truck he drives, so I figured I'd try a set because I'm going to change these out anyway. So these are actually OTR 65175. All that really means is it's a 1.5 inch S cam with a 28 spline count and a 6-inch slack adjuster. So the way you figure out which one obviously fits your application is you measure from the center of the S cam shaft to the pin here. This one is 6 inches, and then a obviously 1.5 inch 28 spline S cam. So that's how I knew to pick this one, because this was 6 inches and same spline. So the way these work, this here gets bolted into a plate that goes where the brake can is, and it wraps up and it goes through here. So basically what you do is you set this to where it's going to be, or to all the way in, released, and then you rotate this until your little arrow is in the groove, and then you tighten this nut down. So these ones are a little different. This is the adjuster here, and the adjuster is in this back arm. So as it pushes the slack adjuster, the angle here will change up and down, and it'll go in and then it will pull up, and that's how it does its adjusting, is in this little arm here. It ratchets the side of the adjuster nut. So you got the adjuster nut, it's got like a barrel that goes through and a worm drive that turns that, so this comes down and kind of pulls up on it and it starts rotating it, and that's how this one does its adjusting. So he suggested that these are a little bit more robust the way they work as opposed to this, because you got like the boot and everything here, and these kind of rust, and then they, with just a thin sheet metal, he says that they're not as strong. So I don't have really any experience with these. He's got a lot more experience with them than I do, so that's why I'm gonna go ahead and try it. So being that I'm retrofitting this one to this one, obviously we're not going to use the same yoke that came with this, because it's just going to be a regular kind of yoke that goes around. I don't have one right offhand. These ones obviously use this style here, and then it's got this adjusting, quick adjust, whatever it is, or quick attachment thing. So the way that this is going to work is you're going to thread this collar onto the rod that comes out of the brake can, and then you're going to get it close, and then as you thread this in to this yoke here, it will thread off the rod into it. So you got to do a little measuring and put this on first. I guess you're supposed to have this 3/8 of an inch from the end, so you'll have 3/8 of an inch sticking out of the rod coming out of this adjuster, and basically it's because right here where the thread is to here is 3/8 of an inch. So obviously there's no threads in there, so it'll just slide in up to that point, and all you have out is 3/8 sticking out. So that's that. Now you have to check for the length of the rod coming out of the brake can. I'll show you on this one. This is a welded one. This one possibly would work because you already have kind of this other pin here for the other style yoke that's on those Bendix ones. So what you need to do is you need to measure this, and you want 1 3/16 to 3 3/16 of of a gap right there between a 90-degree angle off of the rod to the S cam. So I'll show you what I got. I set mine to 1 9/16 of an inch gap there. So we'll go under there. I'll show you how I did it, and we'll put this one on and see how it goes. All right, so this side, I'm just showing you for reference. I haven't cut this side yet. So what you need to do is you're gonna have to measure off of a right angle off of the rod. Now these are retracted, so I retracted the parking brake of it, and I put the cage bolt in, so the rod's all the way in as far as it's gonna go. So what you do is you have your right angle off of the middle of the S-cam, and then you're going to measure down. So what you want is that measurement, depending on the size of your slack adjuster, depending on the length, and you're going to measure between here and wherever the rod comes out. So that's going to be that gap that they show you in that diagram. So you want this to be between, with the 6-inch one, I think it was 1 3/16 to 3 3/16 gap in there. So I measured in about 1 9/16, and that's where I cut my rod. So part of the reason I cut the rod that length was because I came in here when it was the full length, and I just kind of propped this on there, and then I measured like about where it would sit. So I marked the 1 9/16, and I was like, that's kind of like where I'd want it, right there. And then I measured from here to here, because this can has a 2.5 inch throw to it. So I measured from here to here. So I measured it there, and then I went out as far as it would go, and I remeasured it, and it was about, because this can has a 2.5 inch throw, it's only going to throw 2.5 inches, and this came out to be about 3.5. So I knew that I had enough clearance at a full throw to not contact the axle housing there, and that's kind of why I picked that here. Another reason that I picked kind of where I was because I have to fit this in along with the jam nut before we can come up to it. So that's actually plenty of room. So that's probably why you can cut it, obviously, the other couple inches off to the maximum, is that's as far as it can be. So basically this is going to come to about there, and this has to thread into it. What it says. I'll include a link to the install instructions for the Bendix one, and it'll give you all the installation instructions that are in there, should you need clarification. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put never sees on all my stuff here, and like I say, that's going to be in about here. So this front is going to wind up about there. So that's seems good to me. If it wasn't there, then it would end up being pretty much, this is in as far as it can go. So you also got to make sure your angle of the rod coming out isn't going to be like up or down. Really, you kind of want it to be straight in there. So that, I mean, you can only go so far before your angle's not right. So like the rod's coming out like this, but this here at the maximum is kind of still going up. It's not straight. So right there, the rod is pretty much straight, and then this is straight. But like I say, there's only so much that this will collapse. So it can't be up like that facing upwards, because then it's going to start bending the rod, which is another reason they give you your maximums and your minimum length that this can be. So I'm going to put some never seers on all this, thread this on, we'll put this on and try to thread into it. Alright, so let's thread this on. You're going to want 3/8 sticking out. Might go a little more so I can have some of this rod sticking out of that. 1, 2, 2. 3/8. One, 2, 3/8. Up here. There. So push that all the way in and try to thread into it. Okay, this is where I'm going to go with here. I'm going to tighten this up. I think they said put 10 foot-pounds on there. I'll bring our jam nut out. Let me a little more never sees on here. That's plenty, right? So let's see. They say tighten that adapter to about 10 foot-pounds, and then I think 25 to 35 foot-pounds for half by 20 threaded rod, and 35 to 50 foot-pounds for 5/8 inch by 18 threaded rods. So yeah. So there's two different types of yokes with this. There is the quick connect. Let's see if I can find it. There is the quick connect yoke, which is this one with a retaining ring and the jam nut. And then there is the adapter bushing with the jam nut. This is the one that I just installed, the one with the adapter bushing. I did not do the quick connect one. Well, there's that. I'll get my get some washers for up here and put the snap ring on, and then we'll adjust them, and we should be all set. I have to have somebody depress the pedal to make sure that I don't have more than, I believe, 2 inches of throw on the 30/30 can. So this basically, I'll measure from here to the center of that pin like that, and right now it's 3 1/4, and then I'll have them step on the pedal with 90 to 100 pounds of air in it, and I don't want this to go past 5 1/4. So you only want 2 inches maximum travel. Being this is a 2.5 inch can, you don't want it to obviously go past 2, because then you don't have, if you run out of travel, then you run out of brakes. That's what's kind of hazardous about air brakes, is that they only go so far. They're not like hydraulic brakes that'll keep taking up the gap on the pads. on like disc brakes or something like that, these will only go so far. So that's why you have to keep these in adjustment, and that's why they mandate now everything has self-adjusting slack adjusters. So it's supposed to be getting done whether people do it or not. So let me get a clip and a washer for that, and we'll proceed. All right, so let me tighten up this jam nut here on this. So, I got a new snap ring. I had to use an old washer because I got a bunch of washers here for it, but only one of them's the right size, and it's not thick enough. So, you want this S-cam to be out all the way, and you want to be able to just get this snap ring on. So it's all kind of tight in there. Also, you want to make sure you don't have any issues contacting the back of the slack adjuster against this bracket here as well. So now that that's in, we have to adjust the slack adjuster for the first time, manual one. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten it. You're going to go clockwise until the lining just hits the drum, and then we're going to back it off a half a turn. Making noise up against the lining. We're there now. All right. So now we contacted the drum. Back it off a half a turn. Quarter. Half a turn. Make sure we got about a half an inch of free play. So I'm measuring there. We're 3 1/8. So what do we got to go to? 3 5/8. Yep, pretty close. Obviously it's self-adjusting. It will adjust itself if you're not exact, but you definitely want to be close enough that your brakes will work. So I'm going to grease this. I'm going to have to probably maybe change this grease fitting because it's kind of putting me at an angle. I'm not going to be able to grease that. And now that we're pretty close, I'm going to pressurize the brake system. I'm going to measure, make sure we got under 2 inches of throw. So we are, okay, 3 1/4. Right there. Measure, remember where we are, and see what we wind up with. Just done. Let's just go to the front of the pin. Go to the back of the pin. The back of the pin is 3 1/2. So the back of the pin is 3 1/2. And what do we got? 3, so 4 1/2, 5 1/2 would be, so like I said, the back of the pin was 3 1/2, the 4 1/2, 5 1/2 would be 2 inches. We are at 5, so we are 1.5 inches. That should be good. Like I say, the 2 inches is the maximum, so you want to be under that. verify. 3.5. Alright, so I say I'm going to grease this, and then this side should be all set. I'll have to work on the other side. You do want to make sure that this boot is on the little sealing surface right there. It wasn't when I got it. And yeah, so that's, I guess, the Bendix ones with that style clevis there. So I'll probably spray some lubricant and stuff all over these pins too, just kind of keep it a little lubricated. And I think that should be that. I'm a little out of my element with that style, just because they're, like I say, they're a little different. I've never put them in before, so I thought I'd make this video to kind of show how to do it. It kind of takes a little bit of the mystery out of it, because when I was looking at it, it's just looking, you have to adjust this and this and this. It's all got to be the way that it is. It's, like I say, it's a little confusing at first. So, like I say, I figured I'd make a video and maybe I can make it a little bit easier to see what you're doing. So let me show you kind of how these work. So like I said, this was the seal. You see how the seal is not down? It's got to be up and over that, so it seals right. But I'll make a little mark in here so you can see. So the way that these work, obviously, as the rod angles change, when it's all the way in, it's like this. And then when you push it out, the swing makes it go like that. And then as it comes back in, it goes like this. So as that goes back and forth, you see how it starts adjusting, like it ratchets up on its way out. So to go out, it will tighten. And then as it comes back in, it kind of comes down and rotates by it. And then as it goes out again, it tightens. And then in, it resets. And out, it'll tighten. In, it'll reset. And out. So that's how that works. It's kind of like a ratchet. But so anyway, hope that was sort of interesting. And hope you have a nice day, and hope that helps somebody, and thank you for watching.